everybody, it's Linda from Knapp Courtenay. So this year's turned out to be a little bit different than I think we all thought it would be. So to take a little step away from our usual in-store classes, we're going to be doing take-home kits this year. So this video is dedicated to our wreath kits. You'll see there's two options. There's a white kit and a red kit. You'll see samples of both completed on the website. So the white kit is going to give you this really pretty natural ribbon with some white berry accents and natural white cone accent, so very soft and natural. Our red kit, you're going to get a red and natural bow with red berries as your embellishment with the natural cones as well. So I'm going to be building the white kit today. So I'm just going to set that one down and we'll just start by going through what's in our kit. So as I'm unpacking, I've got some wire. This is going to be for making our bundles and attaching them to our wreath frame. We've got wreath wrap, which is going to be put around our frame to hold our moss, which will keep moisture and humidity against our greens so that our wreaths are looking nice right through Christmas. We've got our embellishments. So you should have 5 little sets of these berries. And when we get to that section, we'll talk about you can either use them intermittently, you could cut these down so that you could sprinkle them through the wreath more generously. Again, this kit is just to kind of get you inspired. You can add on to it if you've got some rosemary or something that's still growing in the garden, you can add that into your bundles to make something unique to you. Or if you've got some little bird clips that you love to use, those would be really pretty in the wreath when you're all done as well. Fresh eucalyptus, I know a lot of people are loving that this year. That could be another addition to this kit to make it unique to you. Last but not least, of course, the greens, what we need to make the kit look like a wreath. So we've got pine, cedar, and noble fir. We're gonna set these guys to the side and we're gonna start with our frame. So this is a 14-inch wreath frame, pretty standard size. The other thing you're gonna wanna have, hopefully you have a pair of pruners at home. It will make cutting the branches a lot easier. If you don't, a pair of scissors can do the trick too, but don't use your best scissors as you'll probably get them pretty sappy and you may wreck them a bit cutting greens with them. So I'm gonna grab my wreath wrap and my frame. We're gonna cut to a closer, probably easier to show them closer. We've got our wreath wrap here. We're going to be selecting one of these little branch arms, doesn't matter which one. You're gonna take an end of your wrap and just do a nice secure double knot with the plastic. Once you've got that on there, we're then going to start wrapping it. So we find using the technique with your hand to push that plastic down into the well of the frame is what works best. So try to keep your bundle attached the way it is so it doesn't turn into a big mess on you. Underneath and over, and when you go over, you're gonna just wanna use your hand to push that into the well underneath and over. You're gonna continue this the whole way around the frame. And you'll see I'm just slightly overlapping from my last section as I go over into the next one. If you want. So continuing to wrap until we meet our other section where we started. You're then just gonna do the same thing, find a piece of the metal frame and do a nice secure double knot on there. You can then just tuck that in there, go through the frame. You'll see I've got a little bit of a loose piece here, but that can easily be solved by just moving some of the other plastic around. And you'll see we've got a nice kind of divot or well in the center. This is where our moss is gonna sit. So we're gonna grab our moss bag out of the kit It is forest moss. It should come damp. If it's not damp, just put it into a little bowl with some water and let it sit for a few minutes. You don't want it to be dripping wet, but we definitely want to make sure that we're getting some humidity and moisture into the frame to help those greens stay happy. So you're gonna take this moss and just start to lay it into the well, pushing it in. We're gonna secure it into the frame as well, but just get it in there the best you can and just work your way around the frame. So once you got all your moss in there, should look something like this. Then go back to your kit and find your bundle of twine. Okay. So you're now gonna wanna grab your twine packet and go underneath your frame. Make a nice secure double knot onto the frame tightly against the moss. And once you've got that on there, similar to how we were wrapping around the wreath wrap, we're gonna now start to do the same thing to bind the moss to the frame. If some of your moss is shifted on you as you move the twine around, you can use your hands to kind of push it back into the frame. And you're aiming to get about 1.5 to 2 inches in between each of your twine turns. And then as you come back to where you've started at the frame, you're just gonna tie onto that little end piece, again with a nice secure double knot. And cut away the excess twine. So now we're gonna shift our attention to our greens packet. So we've got noble, pine, and cedar. We find working with the noble at the bottom of your bunches gives you a very nice full effect. So that's what we're gonna be starting with. You'll see you're getting this big piece and you're gonna cut it up. So when we refer to hands, we aim to have 10 hands of greens that will then be assembled onto our wreath. And as a general guide, a hand should be about the size of your hand. So as you're working through and cutting, you'll see that you can use each small off branch for more than one bundle. By stacking them together, it also will give you a nicer, fuller effect. So you'll see that we've now got 10 little bundles set up. We've harvested everything we could off of this branch. You'll see like there is almost no waste when you're done. You could even go back and harvest some of these small pieces at the end if you feel that you need to add a little something to your wreath. As a reminder, you definitely will get to pieces that don't look quite right or lopsided. What we usually tend to do is stick that at the bottom of your bundle, get a nicer piece and throw it right on top. You've now made a really nice full hand with 2 smaller pieces. So again, everything off of this branch is usable. It's just a question of how you layer it to get that really nice full effect. So now that we've got our noble all cut and placed into 10 bundles, we're now gonna go do the same thing with the cedar and the pine. Keep in mind, you're gonna be working with the shape and sizes of the greens that you've already cut. So we've harvested all of our pieces off of our cedar and put them down into our 10 bundles. And then last but not least, we've got our pine. So we're gonna work through cutting this guy here. And just like we did with the noble, you'll see some pieces may end up being too big on their own, but a quick little snip into the center of it, you've got 2 pieces that you can again layer to get a really nice full effect. And when it's blended in there, you'll never even know it's 2. You'll want to continue going through and cutting all your pine pieces and adding them onto the top of your bundles. So we finished off our bundles with our pine on top. You'll see we still have quite a bit of greenery left over. This can go into the compost, but honestly, this would be lovely to go towards another craft. In store we sell Oasis, which you can soak in water. You could then put that into your favorite ceramic pot that doesn't have drainage, or a beautiful bowl, and use some of these extra greens to put in there and create a nice little indoor live green centerpiece as well. So get creative with the scraps. There's still something to be done with these as well. If you purchased eucalyptus, or if you've got any of your own embellishments from your own garden, holly, rosemary, anything you've got still looking beautiful that you might want to add in, now's the time. You're going to want to be adding these to your bundles before we start with the wire. So we're just going to be going through our kit, and we're doing the white berry kit right now. So we've got 5 of these little berry bundles. We're going to be doing a berry bundle in every second greens bundle, so that we've got it as a nice uniform little accent throughout. That's just the way we're going to be building it. You could take your scissors or your pruners and cut these a little bit more, so that you've got a small little bit of embellishment in all 10 of the bundles. Again, it's up to you. This is your wreath. You want to make it look good for your liking on your door. So you're going to want to grab these lovely little wires out of your kit. These are what we're going to be using to secure our bundles, but also attach our bundles to our wreath frame. So you'll have 13 pieces of wire in here, so more than you need in case you make a mistake. Grab a piece out, and you're going to want to bring the 2 ends together so that you've got equal end tails, so you've got a nice kind of U shape to the wire. You'll then be grabbing your bundle. You'll want to make sure that you've got the ends of all of the pieces together, that you've got them stacked in a way that you like. You'll see that we've done the noble, then the cedar, and then the pine on top. Other than having the noble on the bottom, as it is very nice and full, you're welcome to stack it however you would prefer to see it on your wreath. So take your little U-shaped wire and try to feed it around the outside of the bundle. Make a nice tight pull and go to the back. You're then going to take those 2 wires, cross them over, and as tightly as you can start twisting so that the wire is biting into the greens. Do a quick little shake test at the end to ensure that the greens are in there securely, and you should be left with a nice long tail. That's what we're going to be using to attach it to the frame. You're now going to repeat the same process through the next 9 bundles. So we finished all 10 of our bundles. We're now going to take our bundles and just set them on our frame. We're not going to attach anything. This is just to mock up and take a look at how we want the wreath to be finalized. So you'll see we are alternating 1 bundle of straight greens with 1 bundle of an embellished green and working our way through. And if something doesn't feel quite right, or a green is moving the wrong way or following the wrong shape for you, just take it out, try another one. This is really just to make sure that you're happy with the overall look of the wreath before you attach it to the wreath. And you'll see, because we've got such beautiful greens to work with, that we've got 10 bundles, but honestly, you could almost get away with 9. We will use all 10 bundles just to keep the symmetry with the berries, but we could, if you were thinking this was too full for your liking, you could easily remove one of those plain hands to make room for your last berry one. So shifting and adjusting the bundles until you get the layout just right to the way that you'd like to see it. Once you're happy with how you've got it, you're going to remove 1 or 2 of the hands just to give yourself a bit of working space. And you're going to be working on, it doesn't matter where you start, but you're always going to be covering your work with your next bundle. So we're going to take the 2 long tails that were left from our bundles, wrap them underneath the frame, and really push those greens into the moss and frame so they've got contact in there. And then when you brought the wire back up, you're going to spin it so that it's nice and tight and secure. Make sure you push those ends back into the green so there's no sharp ends poking against you or the door. Grab your next bundle of greens, and again, you're covering your work from your last one, so you're not gonna see any of that wire. Go underneath, push, push, push into the moss, and come back up top, making a key turn twist with the leftover wire. You're then going to repeat that the entire way around the wreath frame. You can also use the ends of the greens and kind of push them into the moss as well so that you've got nice contact with the moss. We're quite fortunate in our coastal climate that we've got lots of humidity in the air, so typically our green wreaths stay nice and fresh right through the season. If you're wanting to, or you find it's a really dry or covered area, you could take your wreath down and mist it with some water. Wouldn't suggest doing that probably more than once or twice in the season. You can also purchase glycerin and mix with water and apply as a spray if you think it's going to dry out or it's showing signs of drying on you. So we've now attached our final bundle into the wreath. The first thing we want to do, as always, is a good shake test. We do not want this to come off in a windstorm or if you're just hanging it up. So looks good, looks secure. The next thing I like to do is just start looking at the wreath. I can notice right away there's a bit of a spot that it's bare right in here on this wreath. So that's the perfect spot for the bow. Also, if you're going around and you're looking at your symmetry of your wreath, we're probably going to snip this little piece off here and just take another look and see if there's any other little extra pieces that we want to take off with our scissors. So your bow is in your kit already expertly made, and you've got really nice long wire tails on it. So then again, it's completely your preference where you're gonna put your bow. We've decided to put ours here. So you're just gonna go around the wreath and tighten it on. So we're now going to attach the bow. You're gonna use the two long ends, wrap around the back of the frame and twist to tighten. The most important part is make sure when you're done that the wire is faced forward so that it's not scratching your door. And you can just kind of get rid of that extra wire by tucking it into the greens. Again, just making sure that it's poked up, not down towards the door. Fluff your bow up. And then last but not least, we've got the pine cones. So we've just twisted them apart to 3 pieces. You could leave them in the cluster, or you can take them apart, again, whatever your personal preference is. And they come with wire, which is lovely. So you can just work your way into one of your bundles and find a nice secure piece of green and attach it to that green. We're going to space ours throughout our wreath. So we finalized by putting the last 3 cones in there, and here she is. She's a beauty. I think this would look great on anybody's door. So this is the white embellished kit. The same process and will be taken to use any of the other kits, just using the different embellishments. Again, if you don't have your own set of pruners at home, online, if you do add on a pair of these small pink pruners or these really handy green multifunction floral shears, with a wreath kit will offer you 20% off of the tool, just to make your life a little bit easier, as you are going to want to have good tools to make this craft easier. And here is a completed version of our red kit. So you've got your red berries, your red bow, and then natural cones. You'll see in this wreath we decided to keep that trio of cones together and put them with the bow. Again, just another option, or you can break them up and set them throughout the wreath as well. And then our final kit option is the mini berry and mini cone wreath. So you got the mini red berries, the mini pine cones, and the natural bow.